you're here. So without further ado, Christina Suter.
Thank you, guys. I am excited and terrified all at the same time, just letting you know. So let me get back to the beginning of this. I think this is the very first slide. And slideshow from beginning. Okay, so ground level consulting, economic update. So let me tell you a story. So some of you have heard this story before. I got married in September of 2016. 2016? Sorry, 2006. I made the same mistake last night on the panel. I said 2007 instead of 2017. Okay, I got married in September of 2006. What happened in 2007? The crash. I'm freshly married, and we're having a real estate crash. Can you imagine what my first year of marriage was like? Anybody lived through that? Kind of like, fighting, calling each other's names, losing your cool, wondering why you got married, although actually I knew why I married him. But, so that was my 2007, 2008. And I was losing, at Lilly at some points, I was losing $100,000 a month worth of value while I was holding up properties at $16,000 a month, right? So that's what I was experiencing. Did I immediately make sure that I knew exactly what I was doing and sold everything right away? No, I didn't. No, I froze. For about 6 months, I froze. I fought and I cried. I fought with myself. I fought with my husband and I cried. And I remember the moment I was sitting in my office, in my chair. I remember it distinctly because I was looking at the bathroom door into the bathroom. And I went, okay, I'm a loser. First class. Proof is in the pudding. Everything's going to shit. Clearly, I have effed up. Anybody been in that moment? Okay. Invest long enough, you'll get there. Okay, I'm just saying. And I had a choice. I knew I had a choice. My choice was to either stop investing, because I became a full-time investor in like 2002, 2003. So I was a full-time investor. This was my job. This was my career that was falling apart in front of me. So I could either stop what I was doing, run away from it all, go get a job, figure out what I was going to do and who I wanted to be if I wasn't going to be an investor. Or I could figure out the mess that I was in the middle of. And I was a mess. I was condo converting. I had a lot split going on. I was doing a flip up in Oregon. I had multi-units in Los Angeles and in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Arlington, Texas, another townhouse in Virginia. I had 50 doors to myself and 300 I was sharing with other investors, beyond the flips and the other things, the value adds I was doing. And I was this close. And then I asked myself a question which I sometimes ask myself. How will I feel about this when I'm 80? When I'm 80 years old, how am I going to feel about this decision? And I couldn't face walking away from it. I knew that for me to be satisfied, we all know old 80, 90-year-old people who are unhappy about the life they got to live. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to be somebody who was satisfied and proud of what I did do in my life. And the only way I could do that was by straightening out the mess I was in the middle of. And so that's what I did. That's what I did. I straightened it out. I did some strategic short sales. I did some negotiations with banks. I had one guy who made me cry on the phone, so I hired a lawyer. Because if you make me cry on the phone, clearly I need a lawyer to help me. Because I don't cry that easy. I'm just saying. But there was a lesson I took from that. And the lesson I took from that was I didn't get a memo about the downturn. I didn't get the memo. I'd been investing actively and aggressively since I was 17 years old. Well, let me be accurate. I've been investing since I was 17. I've been a full-time investor since 2002. And I didn't get the memo that there was a downturn coming. And I definitely didn't get the memo as how severe it was. But there were people out there who did get the memo. And so that was my lesson, which is all ships rise and fall on the tide. And the tide is the economy. And that's when I got serious about understanding what I'm going to tell you about tonight. Because I didn't want to see another downturn where I'm losing $100,000 a month. Is that motivation for getting it straight, you think? So that was my wake-up call. And that's why I do what I do. All right. There's my why. It's not this one. This is her best friend, Amelie. It's this one right here. That's my why. That's my 50th birthday party. We did it at the Magic Castle. And I've lived through probably 3 lifetimes in one life, just to be transparent. Right? I started in business with a master's in business. Bachelor's in business. I got respectfully fired from my first marketing job. Very respectful. He was very kind. He says, I don't think you're happy. And I said, I'm not. And he said, well, why don't you stop? Probably the nicest firing I've ever received. I'm just saying. Right? I worked in a cold call center. I lasted 2 days and I walked out the door. Right? I worked in childcare as a teaching assistant, receptionist. Started as a receptionist originally, and then worked in childcare, a teaching assistant. Let's see, infant headroom teacher. Went back, got a master's in psychology. I have a teacher's credential. And I did all of that and became a small business management consultant. I did all of that while I was investing. I didn't realize that when I started with a house at 17, that would continue to grow and continue to grow and continue to grow. And so I have scarves and t-shirts, that's what we call it. 30 years of investing, and I've earned some scarves and t-shirts. I've told you one of my biggest ones, right? I could hang that as a plaque on my wall, right? The day that I doubled down and decided I wasn't going to abandon myself and my dreams, right? I'm a consultant, so I talk to people. I am a real estate investment advisor. So at 2007, 2008, as I was sorting out my portfolio, I worked with other people on them sorting out their portfolio. I wanted to protect my capital, so I went back to work. I went back to work as a consultant. And I worked in the area I understood really well and was getting an even bigger education in every day. And I find that is fulfilling to me. I feel like I've got 2 purposes. One is to work with other people in transforming their lives, making it a better life and place for them to be. I call it living a rich life. Who wants to live a rich life? Okay, who's in this room because that's what we're here about? Yes. Praying is going to help a lot, but it's not going to get you all the way there. It's not going to get you all the way there. So it might sound a little off target, but let me tell you a little bit of a story. So my husband, this gentleman right here, right? He's a little older than I am. And he grew up in a completely African-American, Hispanic neighborhood. He was literally the only white kid for about 3 blocks around him. His dad was a floor sander. His mom worked as a seamstress some days when she could find the work. And he went to the local public school. And he said that his parents didn't want him to play out on the street because they didn't want him playing with the whorehouse that was across the street or the drug dealer that was down the way. But he said his parents had one thing that they often said. And the thing they often said was, you're never too poor to be clean. They didn't have a lot of money, right? We can work this out. They didn't have a lot of money. And they barely finished high school. So the lesson they taught him was, you're never too poor to be clean. What does that mean? It's an interesting statement, I feel like. But you're never too poor to be clean. For him, what he took from it, and I think this is what they meant, was you're never too poor to live a life of integrity. You're never too poor to live a life that you're proud of living. So here's my challenge to you guys. If money isn't about living a rich life, if we can bifurcate that for a minute, what is it that you can do this week that would be about fulfilling living a life of integrity? You're never too poor to be clean. So what can you do this week that will step you into feeling like you have a richer life now? Is it cleaning your personal environment? Is it literally being clean? It might be. I mean, sometimes doing those dishes is like, oh, thank God they're done, right? Huh? You love dishes. Okay, so maybe for you, doing dishes is a statement of, I live a rich life. I'm not too poor to be integrous in my world. What about somebody else? What is yours? Come on.
Take one day just for yourself.
One day, a lifetime?
Just one day whenever you get an opportunity. So something you do this week. Pick a thing this week.
Pick a thing this week.
Just clean house for your happy.
Okay. John?
Be of service to someone.
Be of service to someone else. So that helps you stand in your integrity now and live a rich life now. Does anybody not have an answer in their head? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say take action.
Okay. Take action. And one more up here. I saw a hand go up. No? Does anybody not have a simple thing that will anchor inside of them their commitment to living a rich life? Okay. You don't have anything?
I mean, I'm a little confused by the question.
Sure. So sometimes we can do things. We have in our mind potentially the concept that being rich or being abundant means having lots of money. My question is, maybe being integrous or being committed to your dreams and your hopes is part of living a rich life. So what do you have over here in your integrity, your dreams, and your hopes that you can do this week instead of waiting to be rich?
Maybe just like read my son a bedtime story.
You know, I can't disagree with that one, because taking the time to actually do that. Nice. You want a piece of chocolate? Here. Have a rich life today. Have 3 pieces of chocolate. Because this is my why, right? You guys know this about me. Those of you who have been here before, that's my why. I was trying to get pregnant in 2006 and 17 when the market was sliding, and I'm fighting with my husband. We're trying to have a baby. Right? I was already 36, turning 37, 38, 39. I wanted a kid because that was my why. That's what I had built my wealth for. Right? That's what I had worked out. So I sold everything. And I made my investing as simple as I could. And I stayed committed. So, yeah, read your son. It makes me really happy and feel like I'm living the rich life I want to be living. Okay, so you guys are here because you have a passion for real estate, right?
Yep.
Okay? We're here maybe because you have some concerns, right? Maybe? Some concerns? A few. I've got this guy in the back going, David's going like, maybe a few. How many have like this much concern? Okay, here we go. We're here because we have a concern. Maybe not just because a concern about real estate, but maybe a concern about the market timing right now? Yeah? Okay. That's why you're here. But what we want is future abundance and time, right? How many of us, that's what we're really committed to. All right. Well, it's not the January 2015 economic update. I'm sorry. I reused old slides, guys. I confess. I do this. I use my outline is built into these slides. Okay. So let's move forward. Okay, I am not a CPA and I am not a lawyer. You agree not to sue me. I am an investor, like you guys, giving you my opinion and sense of direction. You've heard my story and you've heard why I'm so committed, right? I'm sharing that commitment with you. Okay. This is basically my way of leading into what we already did. You already know that you have a goal and a target. You already know why you're going here. So I don't need to remind you of that. Okay, real estate, what are we seeing? Are we seeing this? Who wants this one?
I do.
I do. I also flippers. Who wants this one? Okay.
Take them both.
Take them both? As long as they've been cash flow, right? We'll take them both. We'll take either one. All right. What are we seeing in real estate? Is it pristine and beautiful, or are we in the dumps? All right, home sweet home. Okay. This is what we're seeing in real estate. This is it. Median home price, straight off of Fred, which is the St. Louis Fed, right? We know this line. I like seeing long-term lines. So when I like data. Okay, I'm actually a closet geek. I really am, and I love processing data. Okay, so. Huh?
You're not that well closeted.
I came out a long time ago. I came out of the closet a really long time ago. Okay, it's good. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm obvious. I like to be obvious. I really do. Okay, so I like to put it in context. So here we are, 1965, all the way through to here, right? And the last time I gave an update was in here somewhere, right? 2015, 2017. But this was, notice this is 2010, so we're now 10 and a half years away, 2009, from where the downturn hit the bottom originally, right? So this is 10 and a half years. That's a pretty long run. It's an unusually long run, right? Real estate generally is up for 5 to 7 years, and then there's a down, and then it goes up again. So here's 7 and a half years, right? And there was, by the way, I was busy going, okay, I'm confused. This is 2015. I'm confused. I don't know where we're going. I'm watching the market really carefully. Because there was this little thing here. Anybody remember that? Anybody noted that? Or is it just me because I'm just such a geek? I think it's just me because I'm just such a geek. Okay, so I'm going to give you a clue. I'm going to give you a hint. This is what we want to look at now. You see this little piece right here? Where's the market going, guys? Down. Okay, you can all go home now. That's what you need to know. The answer is, how many people knew before we started that the market was going down? How many people already knew it? Okay. How many people were still wondering, is the market going down or not? Okay. Now I'm going to give you, this is the answer. But I want to tell you why it's not so obvious this time. Is that okay? Can I keep telling you that? Okay. Because literally you could leave and that would be the answer. We started, it looks like, I'm going to suggest two things. That it actually started here. That actually was the top of the, when we look back, right? What's it called? The armchair football. Armchair quarterback. Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't watch football. Armchair quarterback's going to look back and go, oh yeah, I knew in 2017 that it was going to go down. That was the last good quarter, right? Any of those? Anybody who's going to claim that? No? Nobody's going to claim that. Okay. Whew. My husband would. I'm just saying he would. Okay. So, but see, it's going down. It's going down. So now everything is just basically built on that. But so, if it's going down, then why are we seeing this? Is this confusing to anybody?
Yes.
Yeah? You know the answer? You're not up here. I'll let you be up here next month, okay? Well, how about in 2020? I'm booking 2020 speakers. Oh. By all means. Okay, I was waiting for him to go, nah, that's too far away. All right. So this is what's confusing. This is the Case-Shiller index. It's the national index, the 20-city index, and the 10-city index. Anybody familiar with this chart? Anybody follow this chart? Anybody want to get the memo on the next downturn? Yes. Okay, start looking at the chart. Go to Fred. Type in, go to Google, type in FRED, and type in Case-Shiller. You can type in national, 10, 20, whichever one of the three charts you want. And this is what's going to show up, is some version of this. It'll be one line. I added more lines. I don't care if you add lines. But this is what this looks like. That's confusing. So if you're looking at the 20-city index, you're not getting the memo.
What is the Case-Shiller index exactly telling us? Is it like a
It's a moving.
ratio of something?
Yeah, it's a moving average. Ratio has to do with change over time, year-over-year change. Median home price. Okay, but the national index is supposedly, you could say all homes. Stephen wants to correct me. You could say all homes is national, but it's not. It's really a selection of homes, right? And then the 20-city index is literally the top 20 cities that they follow. And if you type it in, it'll list the cities. Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco is in that list. You can have your turn in a minute. And then the 10-city, I believe, I don't remember exactly what is in the 10-city, but that's, again, 10 primary cities. So that's what's in the index. Stephen, what do you want to correct for me?
No, I just have a question, I don't know the answer.
What?
I have a question, I don't know the answer.
What's your
Don't
question?
they consider square footage, price per square foot, or the square foot size of the home when they create the index, or is it entirely based on price change?
I think it's entirely based on price change.
I have no idea.
That's my understanding. It's entirely based on price change. But I can recheck that because I haven't looked at that data in a while. Okay.
Those numbers an average or is it another median?
I don't know if it's an average or a median. I know it's a moving average. So that's confusing. Here's our who asked that question? Right. So what was the first chart? If we're looking at the Case-Shiller median home price, what's the first chart?
Nationwide.
Actual prices of homes sold. Actual prices of homes sold is the only chart. This is the only chart that I found that supported my experience on the ground. Because I'm sitting there going, hey, I'm looking at all these charts going, oh, sorry, wrong way. Looks fine to me. What's the problem? Gee, are we having a downturn yet or not? Right? But I'm experiencing it. So, Case-Shiller, so this is, okay, so these are Los Angeles, San Francisco, Denver, Phoenix, Portland. Because here's if I was an investor, my next question would be, well, how bad is it going to be, Christina? Right? What am I supposed to do? Because it's good to know there's a downturn, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I need to know how to protect my assets. Right? I need to know how to protect that. Because I'm a professional investor. This is what I do. This is how I support my family and our school and all this, and my kid, and make sure I can pick her up every day at 3 o'clock, right? This is my life, being protected by my investments. So you can see 10.5 years. So how bad the downturn is going to be, I'm going to suggest, is going to be directly related to how steep this slope is. So the higher it went, the harder it's going to be. So purple. What's purple? Phoenix, Arizona. Anybody surprised? Nope. All right. What's blue? I'm a little surprised by, let's see, Los Angeles. What's red? San Francisco.
So Los Angeles and San Francisco are going to be in trouble?
We're going to be in trouble, guys. We're the ones who are going to be in trouble. High appreciation markets, high depreciation. Is it going to be 2007? No, not at all. Not even close. Let's go back to this chart here. You see this? If I do top to top, how severe is my downturn? Not too bad. Right? So far, not too bad. It's going to go on for longer than it's been doing. If Q4 was the beginning of the downturn, right? 2017, we're still creeping down. And we're going to creep down for another potentially, if history repeats itself, 2 years. Okay? So let's get to this question. Hi, honey. Good to see you here. Let's get to this question. So these are 1, 2, 3 different downturns we already lived through. Okay? 1, 2, 3. And if you look here, I've tried to line up, and what's the problem is the gray isn't showing up very well. That is a problem. Okay.
Turn off the lights for a minute.
Oh yeah, Kirk, can you get that? One more. No, it just doesn't like it. See that? See the downturn?
Yeah.
Okay, see that? Okay. All right. Where is this one? So this is 84 to 1991. Next time I'll have to actually draw arrows. I did on some other ones. This one is the one that was 91, 2002. Right here, I lined it up so this was the line. Okay, and now we're seeing the downslide all the way from here to here. right? Anybody recognize this one?
Yep.
That was the big one. See the price differential from here to here? See the price differential from here to here?
Not bad.
You see from there to there? Not that bad. As a matter of fact, I think it's going to be kind of like this one. Doop, 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 doop. How long did those last? Not very long. How long did this last? Not very long. It's barely even noticeable, except to those of us who are in cities with high appreciation and high depreciation, because I'm looking at median home sales. I'm looking at a national number. So all those Midwestern states that don't have high appreciation, high depreciation, Indianapolis went down by 7% in the 2009, 2007, 8, 9 downturn, right? Las Vegas went down by how much, guys?
A little bit more.
A little bit more, guys. Try like 85. That was the biggest downturn in parts of Las Vegas. Florida, some parts of Las Vegas went down by 85%. Florida, 50 to 60. Okay?
So do you expect those areas to have the same kinds of downturns?
No, I don't. I expect that the downturn is going to be in these cities, right? In these, no, I need to go more.
Like LA and San Francisco?
In LA, I'm most worried. I will be honest with you. I am most worried about Denver and San Francisco. And I'm most worried about Denver and San Francisco because I want to show you the Denver line. It's a green one. See this? What happened to Denver in the last upturn?
It didn't go up.
It didn't go up. It went from a low velocity city to a high velocity city. Does anybody know why?
Because LA was moving to Denver.
Because LA was moving to Denver. They also legalized marijuana. Thank you very much. I love the hubbub in the room. What they do, they changed a very core industry. Okay? I'm more worried about Denver because I don't know that the base is there to hold it up. I'm worried about San Francisco because it's gone up so much more. Right? So I'm worried about those cities. But here's my thing that mediates it for me. Our lending standards are very different this time. Okay? So 2000, this downturn was supported by the fact that we were creating loans that were literally negative interest. And I know because I had a partner who had a NAGAM loan on his primary residence, and I co-signed on the note. So just saying.
I remember they were going around and there were conferences and people were selling those.
And people selling those.
Things like candy.
And stated income.
Yeah.
Right? And so I know. Why do I know? Because I was sitting there at the desk, and they said, well, how much money do you make? I said, I make this much. And they're like, no, you ain't going to put this number in. I'm like, I just told you how much I make. You're putting in a different number. So, well, that'll get you the house. I'm like, okay, I got it. All right, so David and then Todd.
Two questions on that. You're saying like some people like I don't see it happening. I mean, I know the higher end markets seeing the actual downturn already. The lower ones aren't yet. But medium house aren't seeing it yet.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to make it look longer to at least people with higher up because
They started earlier.
it started early and drifted down?
Yeah, it probably will be longer in the higher end markets and less severe. I mean, word on the street, which I can't put up here very easily except to just type it in, is that basically I started talking to clients in 2000, I can bring the slide up, but you know what I'm talking about. In 2018, I started talking to clients about Baldwin Hills, Florida, Frisco, Texas, and not San Francisco yet. We're having problems with homes that were above the Fannie Freddie lending limit. And I came up to that realization because I was having so many of these phone calls about houses that were now stalling. And I started saying, how much is the home worth? Is that above the limit in that area? Yes, that's above the limit in that area. Okay. So I was able to piece it together that the lower end market was still moving forward. So I have more information on that. Todd, you're next.
So about a year ago, one of our favorite speakers was saying that about 85% of the equity gained back from the recession is still in the home because we had a pretty strict lending situation.
Yes.
Has that changed, or are we still kind
We're still very strict. We're not very strict, but we still, yes, that's still true. So instead of seeing like a 60% decline from peak down to trough again, from the previous trough to the peak. Some people say if you go from just gonna have to go back to the chart, sorry. Some people say that if you're gonna go from here to here, that your decline might be, could be as 80% of the previous increase, right? So from here to here, an 80% drop. That might be accurate in this time, but I showed you 3 other charts, 3 other downturns. Did that happen in the other 3 downturns? No, it didn't. In a well-stabilized financial market, which we're in right now, that's not going to happen. The market, part of what happens is that the market floods with REOs. Banks start taking possession of properties, right? Whether it's a real estate downturn first and then an economic, or an economic downturn first and then real estate. It's always worsened by the number of bank-owned properties, which are now being offered as a discount. Because we have such stabilized financing, the people who are actually in the homes can afford the homes, and they're paying down principal on the homes. We're purely just going to have less houses that are underwater. I wish I didn't do it. Notice of defaults, right? Notice of defaults are increasing, but they're not increasing very rapidly. What percentage of foreclosures are we seeing on the market? Hardly any. Is it any greater than the foreclosures that we were seeing here, here, and here? No. Why are we not seeing the foreclosures? Because that's what starts to drag down prices. Here, 1 out of 4 houses were in foreclosure. This is part of why this slide happened. We're not going to see 1 out of 4 houses in foreclosure. We might see 1 out of 20, 1 out of 15, because people don't have to sell. David.
Second question. We know, or some people pay attention, with the looming possible crash in the stock market funding.
Yeah.
There's so much money that's been now tied up from the hedge funds and everybody else into real estate. If that market just falls like it may do.
What does that mean?
It's.
I mean, that'd be what I would ask. It's like, well, what's going to happen then?
That's my question. If that market crashes, is it going to make the real estate crash bigger? Because their money's tied into real estate. They're going to try and get money out to try and save around something else.
Yes, but I don't see the lending standards allowing it to become too destabilized.
They're starting to actually do zero down.
There are, but it's not that. It's not. I mean, you remember the environment,
Yeah.
right? Remember the marketing involved with that. And here's the thing: is I think we're going to see interest rates continue to be held at a low point. I don't think we're going to go negative. I don't think we as a nation will tolerate it. So I don't think we're going to go negative. My bottom line talks to that. Okay, one more question, then I'm going to move forward.
Do you believe that all of the properties that, let's say, foreclosed on, got flushed, for lack of a better word, out during that 2008, 2009 period? I asked that question because of experience. I tracked the house. It's interesting that you said Baldwin Hills. It was in Baldwin Hills.
Okay.
I remember when the house went up for foreclosure, CLI was like, oh, this is ridiculous, they'll never get it. They didn't. Linda took the house back. That house is being rented, and of course it's another lender, but it's still being rented, it hasn't been sold. I checked the history, and I'm saying, like, I ran into about 4 cases where those houses were not flushed out. Now they were on the upper end, but still, I know if they do it on that end, they're probably doing it a little bit lower. And
So the houses weren't officially foreclosed on, that the note was sold? Is that what you're saying?
no, it was foreclosed, but the bank took it back because
Right.
they didn't get what they wanted at auction. And
So the bank's renting it,
yeah,
is what you're saying?
so they rented it. And I'm wondering, like, somebody
The-
has to pay taxes on it, and somebody has to.
No,
service that.
the banks do sell tranches of homes. And they do get, managed by real estate agents who will refurbish them to make them rent ready. They get sold some get sold to individual investors, but many of them get sold to funds. So real estate investment trusts that will buy them out, like BlackRock. They're still sold. They're not renting it. The bank is not. The banks are not in the business of renting properties. So they're still sold, but they're sold institutionally.
Right.
They're not sold on the MLS, right? So okay,
What did like the mass acquisition of all those homes by Blackstone and Invitation Homes,
Blackstone.
like how did that affect the housing markets when all the hedge funds bought all those single family homes?
Mm-hmm.
Like 2012, 2013, was it?
Yeah, a little later, but yes, in that time frame.
How did that change? Because they were buying a lot of them like at full retail,
Right.
right? Like, why did they do that? And then did it change like the economies in those cities?
They purchased in very specific and targeted areas. So they would take their money and they would buy up. You got to remember, there used to be, I don't know what the number is today, I think 7 trillion in mortgages, right? So even if they're coming in with 100 million, they're still not a big part of a 7 trillion market.
They made it
So
like
what
in
they
Las Vegas, right?
Exactly. So Las Vegas is the prime example of that. So they identify a city, they come in with a heavy amount of money, which then affects the city. So yes, but does it affect the regional and median number? Not necessarily, but it absolutely affects the health of that city. And then prices in Las Vegas, I know somebody who invests in that area, and prices in Las Vegas went up within 3 to 6 months. You could see a distinct difference in the price point of properties because Blackstone had come in there. So does that answer your question? All right, so moving on. So only 6 of the 20 largest cities tracked by Case-Shiller posted increases in year-over-year housing gains in June of this year as compared with May. So this is from Robert Campbell. Anybody follow Robert Campbell? Anybody follow Bruce Norris? Okay, I like listening to them both. I like listening to them both because Bruce Norris is a little more optimistic. Robert Campbell is one of those people who always sees death and mayhem coming down the line. But we need to have that in our ear to be able to make sure we're cross-checking ourselves, right? Because if we only listen to what we like hearing, then you may not get the memo. I want to get the memo, right? What's my dedication? My dedication is not my good feelings. My dedication is protecting my portfolio, right? So this is Robert Campbell, and I love pulling statistics. I didn't pull his opinion. I pulled a statistic. 6 out of 12. What does that mean? 14 cities 6 out of 20. That means 14 cities out of the national index we just looked at, out of the 20 city national index, are either decelerating in appreciation or are already depreciating. Okay? So even though the median number didn't tell us that, the ground is telling us that. Say existing home sales went up by 1.3%. Now how did that happen? Existing home sales went up by 1.3% in 2 months. Sales of previously owned houses in the U.S. rose 1.3% from the previous month to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of blah, 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 the highest level since March of 2018, above market expectations. Buyers are benefiting from lower mortgage rates, low unemployment, rising wages, and lower price inflation. What happened, guys? Why did all of a sudden did it go back up again? Interest rates. What are we looking at? See this? Interest rate. See that? So the government is actively, Trump being an investor, the government is actively working to moderate a recession in both the economy at large as well as in real estate. So that's what we're going to see. So if you're getting confused messages, that's why we're getting confused messages. It's because it's going to go up and it's going to go down, it's going to go up and it's going to go down. Okay?
Does that mean the Fed's doing its job?
In theory, yeah. The Fed's doing its job. Okay, existing home sales by volume. See the little uptick at the end? Right? Interest rate. Home sales month supply. So 6 months, which is where I've drawn the line, right, is where you have a balanced market between a buyer's market and a seller's market. What market are we in right now? A buyer's market or a seller's market? Buyers, other way around, guys. Buyers means the buyer gets the better benefit. Seller market means, hey, I can ask for whatever price I want and I'm going to get it. right? So it's a buyer's market. So if it's more than 6 months of inventory, I get a really good price on purchasing a house. Less than 6 months of inventory, I have to take what they're offering. Okay? We're going to have a problem because one of my slides is reliant on that gray thing. So see this? Right? See that? That doesn't look like a downturn. That looks like a recovery, right? But see the tail? Todd?
State that one more time. More than 6 months of inventory is?
So more than 6 months of inventory means that I, the seller, am not going to get the price I want. It's a buyer's market. The buyer can dictate the price. I can take my time. Because if I take my time, 3 months from now, it's probably going to be worth less. I can buy it even cheaper, right? Why did I put this in here? Why did I put this in here? All right, I put it in here for a reason. I really did. I don't know. Moving on. And that's the changes. In the effective interest rates. Oh, I know what it is. Interest rate. See this? See how this has remained really quite flat in among all of that? Right? So mortgage rates unto themselves don't always make a huge difference, but it does affect. This is how it affects. Right? What's the difference on the same $100,000 at 4% versus 10%? Twice as much. Homes aren't necessarily sold on price. They're sold on what can my job buy me. Right? Homes house jobs. If you're a landlord, you're housing jobs. That's what the interest rate does. Okay. Leading indicators. Pending sales. Right? 2010, not surprised. Remember I said 2014, 15, we had this funny little period where I was concerned about the market? Right there, that's why. See this? 2017. Up, down, up, down. Okay, so don't be confused when people say, hey, pending sales are up. Yeah, we're going to go up and we're going to go down. We're going to go up and we're going to go down. The aggregate line is still down. So it's a mixed downturn. The point being it's not as severe. See the yellow, see how severe these yellow lines are? See how severe those are? See, we only have a little bit over there. It's just not as severe, guys. Leading indicator, new versus existing. So Bruce Norris talks about one of the indicators is when new home prices cross, right? When existing home prices and new home prices are about the same per square foot, or even existing home prices cost more than new home prices per square foot. Okay? Does that mathematically make sense to everybody? Okay? This is pure existing home. This is a combined line. Right? Median existing homes, median home sales, price house in the United States. This is all homes in the United States. This is the combined line, new and existing. Okay? This is new. This is existing. See the space? So this is space. So we shouldn't, in theory, we shouldn't be having a downturn. This is a national number, not a California number. Culver City. I moved into Culver City 2 years ago. I did a bunch of research on potentially buying a home or renting a home. When I discovered that condos, because I was just buying a condo, that condos were selling for $12 a square foot less than the rehabbed condo was selling for. Could I rehab a condo on $12 a square foot? No, not even close. So new and existing were selling, or rehab and existing were selling at almost the same price per square foot. Price per square foot is like $650, $680 a square foot, $12 difference. Very small percentage difference. To me, the market was topping.
You have to think about it too, but that doesn't consider lot size.
I'm sorry, what?
It doesn't consider lot size.
None of these numbers. We have what?
I just realized while you were saying, like, if you think about that pattern Bruce Norris brought originally.
Doesn't consider lot size.
Yeah, so if you go to, like let's say, lot of Orange County in LA is like 2 properties per lot within conversions.
Uh-huh.
It's a very different sale than original. I'm sort of wondering how close that cap actually is to real value, at 23% cap, if you consider the features of the home. I'm curious.
Well, go and research it, because here's my theory, and then you can tell me the answer. So my theory is that lot size isn't going to be able to make a big enough difference inside of Culver City versus Culver City, and say Pacific Palisades versus Pacific Palisades.
Okay, I will make an argument against that.
I'm sure you will. Go ahead. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on.
The only reason I say is a half acre on the water versus a 6,000
Oh, yeah.
on the water is a big difference, right?
Yes.
The more inland that's in lower gap.
Right.
So like in the inland environment, it's much smaller, like 10,000 versus 5 is very low. So
It does.
What I'm sort of wondering is, take an 8,000 square foot lot, making it 2 floors.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably $100,000 to $200,000 price gap in LA with no account for it in insurance.
Yes. I'm just thinking the data set of that particular thing occurring is small enough that it's not significant in the numbers.
Well, and speaking from somebody who is lots of splitting money out, the city isn't expediting any of that.
Right. In actuality, that's not. It took me. Yeah, I understand.
I don't actually mean that it's lots, it's causing, I mean that literally the smaller lot stuff. I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it after, but you heard my answer. All right, so this is.
We'll make an argument for larger lots because of the developments. Taking taking something that, is a single family that could be fourplex.
Yeah, I mean, increasing density in the city. And it doesn't take account for increasing density, like Culver City, right? A really good example of Culver City increasing density. The house I ended up renting literally is owned by a developer who's gonna tear it down. And I said, I'll stay in the house until the bulldozers show up. I'm paying about $1,000 a month less to be able to say, I'll stay in the house till the bulldozers showed up. It was worth it to me, right? So, gross domestic product, right? General health of our economy, one could say, is related to the gross domestic product, right? And the Case-Shiller National Home Index, right? Not the prices, but the index. Notice there is some similarity, right, between the health of the nation and the health of our real estate markets. Okay? But is it a direct correlation? Can I say these are directly correlated? Can I say there's a direct percentage between these and these? No. The real estate market.
Used to be in the past, pretty close. And then
Here.
suddenly it's separated.
Here to here.
Yeah.
Yep. This is also when the stock market started separating out and becoming its own economic world, in my opinion, as well.
Does the fact that we are not tracking the lines perfectly now mean that we've reached some sort of point of irrational exuberance in the housing market? I mean, are people just buying because they don't want to get left out? And they'll get whatever they have.
It's quite possible, and if that's quite possible, because that's my theory about stocks, right? Why do stocks not travel with the gross domestic product anymore, with the GDP or the general economy? Is because the barrier to entry to being a trader has been broken down so much by e-trading,
Right.
that now there's a general exuberance that now pushes the stocks up and down regardless of the general economy. This is only going to get worse in the iBuyer market, right? So just as a complete side note, I'm having Aaron Norris come and talk next month on that particular topic about the iBuyer market and using electronics and the electronic web, using the web as a platform. All right. You can go online and buy a piece of property without ever seeing it and do the whole escrow and even setting up one where you can get a loan by clicking on your computer. That would be the iBuyer market, right? Huh? No human involved, in theory. Now here's what I do want to notice, because this to me was startling, because I'm a believer of Bruce Norris, which is our Fed rate doesn't necessarily affect. But what I have noticed, there is an effect. There's a delay, but there's an effect, isn't there? That's the fund rate, not the mortgage rate, the fund rate. I think I have one later, but I don't know if it's next.
But the fund rate is just a reaction to what's going on in the economy, so it could be the economy that's actually driving those other metrics in the home sale.
The government always reacts.
But if I'm looking for predictors, what can I use that has some correlation to it, right?
Well, isn't there also yield spread involved in that too? So lenders use looser guidelines and yield spreads wider, so the fund rate affects that.
Don't know. Beyond me.
You get higher appreciation with booster headlights.
So, see? Right? We're going to look at this again later when we look at the fund rate versus sales. We're going to see the fund rate versus cycles as well. So if you're looking for a predictable indicator, right, you can't really look at GDP, but you could consider looking at fund rates. And we're going to talk more about the fund rate. Funds is an indicator of a recession. You can't see the gray lines. This is a problem, guys. But trust me, behind every one of these arrows, if you're looking at my thing here, behind every one of these arrows, you see this? Doop, doop. Right? See that? See that? There is a driving that's occurring. There's an increase in the fund rate. There's a decrease, and they decrease the fund rate. A driving that's occurring, there's an increase in the fund rate, creates a direct decrease. Don't fight the fund rate. That is an indicator. And it happened right here too. See this? This is where we are. 2015, 2016, they started raising in 2016, 2017. They're intentionally creating a slowdown in both the economy and the real estate market. And they're using the fund rate to do it, not the interest rate, the fund rate.
I think it has less effect because people didn't have a lot of student debt. They had in the 80s and 90s. So when they raise the rates, it hit the markets and the drugs hit quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you're like a drug addict, the hit is not as good anymore. You need more drugs to like feel a little juiced up. So I mean, right now, they lowered the rates. It didn't do much to that price, right? It's still like languishing at the end there, very, very end.
You're not talking about here, or you're talking about here?
Yeah, we're at 0, and it's barely doing anything.
Well, this is a 0 right there, right? And now they're lowering it more.
Most of my clients on the mortgage broker, and they're all like 45, 60% debt to income.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're max. These aren't FHA programs.
Right.
You have 0 downs with like community seconds coming in to do that 3.5.
Okay.
Doing the other.
And what's the price point of the homes that you guys generally lend on?
I mainly deal with middle class, and I wait from like 70 to 200 grand upper middle class.
Okay.
I'm doing the conforming Fannie mostly, like 90%.
Okay. Okay.
I'm doing like Orange, Santa Ana, you know, South Orange County. So I'm not dealing with Newport Beach people.
Okay, so what's important about the information he's giving us is he is talking about that the home loans that they're making now are going to be less secure, right? Because I'm saying we're going to have a mild downturn because the lending standards have been so strict and only loosening slightly in comparison to what we had in 2004 and 5. And he's saying, no, I'm seeing 0 downs and people borrowing money for the down payment.
There's people with down payment, but we're fully verifying income nowadays. You know, we're calling the employers, we're cross-verifying, we're calling them right before they're actually closing too.
Okay.
We're not just like winging it, you know, just like a verbal from some random source.
Right.
So if you call in to verify,
huh? It's 9. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I told you we could stop, you know, when I first started, right? We got the answer, right? Okay. So let me blow through to what I think we need to know. So we need to know that millennials are rejoining the market. So what we need to know about what's going to help sustain this quote-unquote downturn is that millennials who weren't going to join the market are rejoining the market. So we both have 45%. 45% of the market of new home buyers are millennials. 37% are Gen Xers. So we are going to have support for the lower end of the market, right?
This isn't LA, right?
This is going to be national. I'm still on the U.S. I haven't even hit California yet. National. It's national. Definitely national. So millennials are going to make a difference. They're going to help cushion this. The Fed turning down the interest rate sooner than later is going to help cushion this. The fact that we have solid loan stack. Who's in the industry? What's it called?
DTI or debt.
That's solid debt, but the loan stack against the properties are a lot more secure. They're not stated income, they're not neg am. We're not going to see a plethora of foreclosures on the market. That's all going to support that this downturn is going to remain mild, even inside of the higher appreciated markets. Some markets may see no downturn. I'm going to say Los Angeles and San Francisco are going to see a softening, but it's not going to be severe. It's not going to be 35%. Might be, I'm thinking 10 to 15.
Just to play devil's advocate on that, though, he's saying that Fannie and Freddie, who are the big buyers and producers of these loans, allowing people to come in with a 45, maybe even 50% income debt. So if the general economy, which employment is at an all-time high, and all cycles revert back to the mean, so that means it's got to go back down to the mean, as well as income also has to revert back to the mean. That means that these loans are at a higher risk than if they were at a 33% ratio.
It's very rare to see somebody at 19%.
I haven't seen it pushed to the limit.
Okay. I didn't understand the statement because you said income has to revert back to the mean. I got distracted by that. So go ahead. Say it again. No. Well, just put duct tape on.
No. Income's at an all-time high, and it goes on cycles, and it's based on cyclical. So all cycles go back to the mean.
Okay.
And so unemployment's at an all-time low, which means
right.
It's got to go back up higher.
Right.
And so if that happens, and if you have a higher ratio of your income to what you're paying out.
Right, and your income goes down.
Then you're in a much higher risk when the economy goes south. In other words, all of a sudden you got to pick up 2 jobs. You got to pick up an Uber job, or you lose your main job, your tech job, or whatever the heck is going on out there. So we're poised at peak growth, and everything's being pushed up over here. We're saying, yeah, you can buy as much as you want. It's like allowing a bunch of credit. Oh, sure, we're checking to make sure that you have a good, solid job now, but we're giving you so much more, and if things go south, that's going to get washed away down here. So you do have that risk. I don't know how that's going to play out, but that seems to me to be interesting.
Let me offer this, if I may.
Sure.
So before the last downturn, when the last downturn happened, they started sort of digging into why it happened as severely as it did. One of the things that they discovered was that I believe, Stephen probably knows the number off the top of his head, that something like 80% of Fannie and Freddie loans were to people who had credit scores less than 680, 650. If you looked at it 2 years ago, it was the exact opposite. 80% of Fannie Freddie loans were to people with credit scores above 680. So when you talk about what's the vulnerability, right, of that happening, is it going to affect? Yes, it's going to affect. Will it be harder for them to make their payments? Yes, but they actually had stated income and higher credit scores, so they're more qualified purchasers. They're less likely to be to the edge of their capacity, as they were in before the last downturn. Because they're not overstating their income, they're stating their actual income. That alone is one of the places that they're more secure.
And their income's being verified.
And their income's being verified. Well, but that's the same.
Well,
it's slightly higher now. Yeah.
Quite a bit, and so that could make a.
But it hasn't. But when these loans started in 2012, 13, 14, 15, they still had a very conservative debt-to-income ratio that the banks were implementing. It's only in the last year or two that they've been loosening that up. Right. So we're going to see. So what segment of the market of loans that have been made since 2009 or 10 or 12? Most of those loans, and I don't have that number off the top of my head, are going to be made in a more fiscally sound structure. Go ahead.
So most of the lenders I'm talking to say, the underwriting is only structured like 42%, 46% debt to income over the last 5 years, and then FHA doesn't tend to have any category on it, so that's the only other exception. So you're only talking 4 to 5% swing until DTI anyway the last 5 years. It's not dramatic enough. With that credit score difference, and look at most of them 700, it's a risk to buy.
So if you want to, when you raise these questions, it's absolutely good. But I think hopefully you'll notice in my answer, one of the things that I contemplated in my head is how big of an effect can that really have? The sector is quite large, right? How big of an effect is that going to have when you're talking about that type of change? Yes, it's going to happen. Yes, it's going to affect. but it's only going to happen for this segment of this larger movement. Then it's like, okay, so how much is that really going to affect? Maybe that much, right? So let's keep grounding ourselves back into the numbers and the overall sense of the market. Yeah, it's a scary thought. Student loans. Who thinks student loans is a scary thought? Right? Student loans is one of those, right? Is it going to take us? Huh?
Auto loans also.
Also loan autos, also, right? Consumer debt. Okay, I'm going to finish this up. Okay, no more. We're not going to make it all the way through, guys, but you got the. I gave you the good stuff up front, right? I was honest with you up front and told you what you need to know first, right? So this is California, July 2019. What are we seeing? So sales have first yearly gains in 15 months. See the declines here? So decline, right? All the way back here, April of 2018. Now we're seeing a gain. Interest rates. Active listings down for the first time. So we had year-to-year percent change in active listings. So volume was actually down. Hey, maybe we can list our home. Active listings have gone down again. Contrary information, we're going to see a lot of it. Single-family home sales. Median home price is plus in July. 3.2 months worth of inventory. What did I tell you about inventory before? Seller's market. Is that what's happening? For the people who are out buying right now, is it a market where the seller can define the price and they're getting whatever they want? No. Not in certain tiers. Not above the Fannie Freddie lending limit. Below? Yes. Tiered home pricing. There's definitely tiered home pricing. Let's see. There's another one further. All right, Los Angeles days on market. So in Los Angeles, homes typically receive 2 offers. Homes sell for about 1% below listing price and go pending in 48 days. If they were to segment this based upon tiered pricing, I know, because I sell the $2 to $3 million home, we get 2 offers, but we sure as heck ain't going into pending in 48 days. Right? We're talking 3 months, 4 months before we get 2 solid offers on a property. San Francisco, 10% above list price. That's what they say. All right. This is by county. First Tuesday. Okay. March existing home sales. So this is back in March. Right? West Coast continues to see inventory piling up. This is by segment. This is what I wanted to show you. Entry-level homes. You can call this mid-level, true mid-level. Upper-end homes. This is where I'm flipping, is up here. Right? So is it tiered? Yes, the effect is very tiered. Okay? Price cuts as homes go unsold based upon which part of you're in on the West Coast. Las Vegas, San Jose, Seattle, Washington, San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles. So pick the city you're in. This is what's happening. Price decreases year over year. So if houses were selling for, median home was selling for $100,000 in San Jose, now it's going to be selling for 279%. I can't do the calculation in my brain. I can't do that one. But I can do this, San Diego at 23% less, right? Okay, so that's what it's physically going to look like. Are we good, guys?
That's what it's gonna look like?
Or that's physically what it's looking like. But basically the concept being it's going to go up and it's going to go down based upon manipulations in the market. It is 9 o'clock. So I am happy to keep answering economic questions, but I think I need to honor that we're officially done with our time here. So thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you in the room or at the table.